The night before Thanksgiving, 1971, a storm raged over the Pacific Northwest. Somewhere in that churning sky, a man did the impossible. Stepping off a commercial airliner at 10,000 feet with a briefcase full of cash, he vanished into the darkness. This wasn't just a hijacking, it was a magic trick on a national stage. The man who called himself Dan Cooper became an instant legend, a ghost who slipped through the FBI's fingers. His plan was audacious. $200,000 in unmarked bills, 4 parachutes, and a mid-air refueling in Seattle. With the money secured, he walked to the back of the Boeing 727, lowered the aft air stairs, and jumped into a freezing rainstorm. The manhunt that followed was one of the most extensive in U.S. history. The FBI chased thousands of leads, interviewed hundreds, and scoured the wilderness, finding nothing. No body, no parachute, no briefcase. It was as if he never existed. For decades, the question haunted everyone. Who was D.B. Cooper, and what happened to him in that stormy sky? The name D.B. Cooper was a media mistake. The man bought his ticket as Dan Cooper, but the myth stuck, fitting for a story shrouded in confusion and legend. He became a symbol of rebellion, a folk hero who beat the system. Or did he? Did he survive the jump, or die in the wilderness, his fate unknown? The questions remain as tantalizing today as they were 50 years ago. A cold case that refuses to grow cold. The legend of D.B. Cooper endures, a mystery that still captures the imagination. Was he a criminal mastermind or just lucky? One thing is certain, he vanished without a trace, and the world has never stopped searching for answers. The legend began quietly. On November 24, 1971, a man in a dark suit and sunglasses bought a one-way ticket to Seattle as Dan Cooper. He blended in, just another businessman. On board, he took seat 18C, ordered a bourbon and soda, and lit a cigarette. Calm, polite, and unremarkable, until he flagged down flight attendant Florence Schaffner. He handed her a note. "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The words were quiet, but they changed everything. Cooper opened his briefcase just enough to show wires and red sticks. He dictated his demands. $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck ready in Seattle. The other passengers noticed nothing as the plane climbed into the gray sky. The flight was short, about 30 minutes. As the plane soared over Washington, Cooper's plan unfolded. He was methodical, patient, and professional. No aggression, no panic, just a man in control. Florence sat beside him, heart pounding, as he calmly explained what he wanted. The crew relayed his demands to the cockpit. The quiet man in the business suit had just taken control of the plane. The hijacking was underway, and a legend was being born. Cooper's demeanor set him apart. No threats, just cold precision. The stage was set for one of history's greatest mysteries. The passengers remained unaware, their ordinary flight about to become infamous. Cooper waited unflinching, as the world outside changed forever. The myth of D.B. Cooper had begun. This was no ordinary hijacking. Cooper was courteous, even paying for his drinks and ordering dinner for the crew. His politeness was disarming, keeping the situation calm. His demands were precise: 4 parachutes, $200,000, and a specific flight path. The FBI realized the parachute request was a clever move if he had backups. They couldn't risk sabotage. The plane sat on the tarmac in Seattle for 2 hours as the drama unfolded in near silence. 36 passengers were released in exchange for the money and parachutes. Cooper checked the cash and parachutes, then laid out the final stage fly southeast toward Mexico City, no higher than 10,000 feet, landing gear down, wing flaps at 15 degrees. The crew realized what he was planning: a mid-air jump. Cooper was always several steps ahead. He was in complete control, a puppet master in the shadows. The flight crew braced for what was coming next. The world watched, transfixed, as the impossible unfolded. Cooper was about to vanish into history. Cooper's knowledge of the Boeing 727 was uncanny. He chose the only commercial jet with aft air stairs, his escape hatch. He knew lowering them in flight wouldn't destroy the plane, especially at low speed and altitude. Investigators suspected he was an aviator, engineer, or paratrooper. He requested the cabin remain unpressurized, making it possible to open the rear door safely. Every detail was calculated. As the plane flew south, Cooper prepared for his exit. He told the crew to stay in the cockpit. The last to see him was flight attendant Tina Mucklow, who watched him tie something around his waist, likely the money. At 8:13 p.m., the crew felt a change in air pressure. The aft stairs had been lowered. The ghost was preparing to leave. The FBI later confirmed a jump under these conditions was survivable, barely. Cooper was a tactician. executing a high-wire act with no safety net. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, the cockpit warning light flashed, the aft door was open. Outside, a violent storm raged. Inside, the crew waited, breathless. No one saw Cooper jump. There was only the eerie glow of the warning light. He stepped into the void, $200,000 in hand, vanishing into the storm. The jump was a nightmare, hurricane-force winds, freezing cold, total darkness. The wilderness below was unforgiving, towering trees, ravines, icy rivers. When the plane landed in Reno, Cooper was gone. He left behind a black clip-on tie, 2 parachutes, and 66 unidentified fingerprints. The man himself had vanished, leaving only legend and questions. D.B. Cooper had stepped off the face of the earth. The search for D.B. Cooper became one of America's greatest manhunts. The FBI codenamed it Norjack, calculating a probable jump zone in the wilds of southwestern Washington. Hundreds of soldiers, agents, and police scoured the forests, mountains, and rivers, finding nothing. The investigation expanded nationwide, chasing down over 800 suspects. The evidence, ties, cigarette butts, fingerprints, led nowhere. Then in 1980, a boy digging by the Columbia River found 3 bundles of rotting cash. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. It was just under $6,000. Badly decomposed, but real. The discovery electrified the case, but deepened the mystery. How did the money get there? Where was the rest? Theories abounded, but the trail went cold again. The rest of the $200,000 was never found. The phantom remained a phantom. For over 50 years, the question has lingered. Did D.B. Cooper survive? The FBI long believed he died in the jump, lost to the wilderness. But many point to his expertise, aviation, parachutes, as proof he was no amateur. Some think he was a military veteran, maybe even a spy. The idea that he landed, vanished, and started a new life has captured imaginations. D.B. Cooper became a folk hero, a symbol of rebellion who beat the system. His story lives on in books, films, and festivals. In 2016, the FBI closed the active case, but the legend endures. The case file is closed, but the mystery is not. D.B. Cooper remains at large, a name without a face, a crime without a resolution. He is the outlaw who was never caught, a ghost in the sky, forever falling through the stormy night of our imagination. The legend will never die.